All right, good morning. Good morning. One person here right now. We'll get started at 8:30. All right. So it's about 8:30. Good morning. It looks like there is one person here right now. So whoever that is, good morning to you. Oh, now two people. All right. It'll be a small class today. That's fine. The plan for this morning is, or I should say, my name is Gabriel Hoff, massage therapist. And the plan for this morning is we'll do some warm-ups and stretching, a little bit of self-massage and acupressure and breathing for the next half hour or so, ending around 9 o'clock. The theme for this morning that I came up with is grounding. And this is another theme, like last week, where we could do a whole series on this. But it's just some little tips and tricks for helping to ground that I've come up with. Grounding means different things to different people. To me, it means feeling comfortable in my body, feeling connected to the earth in the sense of being able to feel the earth or the ground underneath me. It means that my body is functioning relatively well, even despite any kind of pains or any kind of issues that I'm having, physical, mental, or emotional issues that that somehow my being, and in particular my body, is functioning well. So that's the goal, is even in the midst of the difficulty that we're having with the pandemic, that we can do self-care practices and grounding practices to help our bodies function well, even if it's just a little bit better, feeling just a little bit better. Hopefully that will help our days go a little bit smoother. And yeah, that's the plan. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the chat box. There's a little live chat box that you can type into. All right, so let's start standing. And just take a moment to sense into your feet on the ground. So what do you notice just right off the bat about how your feet are feeling the ground? What kind of sensory input you're getting through your feet on the floor? It might be a lot of sensory input. It might be not that much. That's okay. Just wherever it is right now, sensing into that. And then bringing your weight side to side. So really feel your weight go to one side, and you can feel how your body changes, how your muscles engage to keep you standing as your weight goes side to side. You can put your hands on your hips if that helps. And then try front to back. So bringing your weight forward and back. It helps if your knees are a little soft. They have a micro bend. And then see if, as you're going from leaning your weight forward and back, see if, like a pendulum, you can find a center place. So there's a place where, like right in the middle, where the weight is not going forward and it's not going back. And yeah, sensing in right there. And I find that I can go, like, make it smaller and smaller. And then side to side as well. If your weight is going side to side, see if you can find the place where it's not leaning to one side and it's not leaning to the other side. And like a pendulum, I often get smaller and smaller until hopefully I can find that place that's right in the center. I like to call this exercise X marks the spot. This is my version of a very common exercise. Because there are two axes, there's the side to side and front to back, and they meet in a place. Can't really see it in the video. Here it is. They meet in a place and create an X, right? That X is right in the center of the pelvis. So just take a moment and see if you can feel that. Okay. All right. So now just let that all go. We can, let's shake out an arm. So if you're feeling any cobwebs, from sleep. Shake, shake, shake. And you can shake out the other arm. Let's see, who's that? Oh, Brooke. Hi, Brooke. Shake out a leg. Shake out the other leg. You can even, if you didn't, shake out your foot. Shake, shake, shake. Shake out your other foot. Shake your hips. And make your whole spine kind of wiggle. And we can do empty coat sleeves. That's always a great one. So just gentle swinging your arms side to side. And you can let your hands hit your hips. Okay. So let's do some stretches. I'm always a fan of side stretches. They feel really good to me. So one way to do a side stretch is to lean. So you can lean over to one side. So send your hip out to that side. And then raise that arm up and over. See if you can make a really long, like a long C curve from your foot all the way to your fingertips. And take a deep breath into that stretch. And out. Good. And then try the other side. Send your hip out and stretch up, up. Make a really long line. Take a breath in. And out. And then it's always good to do a little front to back as well. And I know for myself, I tend to curve in. So we'll do the opposite of that. And interlace your fingers behind your back, bend your knees, take a breath in, and send your heart forward. And out. And relax there. And let's try that again. Take a breath in and send your heart forward. Send your chin up toward the ceiling. And good. And then let's see. We can breathe the arms up. Both arms up toward the ceiling and stretch. And then exhale them down and just bend over. If this is not comfortable for your low back, just go as far as as works for you. If you feel comfortable leaning over here, give your head a little shake. Feel the gravity. Have your hands on your knees if that feels better. Go back. Do a little walking your knees. This is not the biggest stretch, just finding a little bit of a stretch. And then when you come up with a deep breath in and send your spine long. Yeah. Okay. Good. So then one thing that I think we don't talk about a lot is how the hips can hold a fair amount of tension. I know I talk about it sometimes, like with, I've talked about it in the past couple of weeks with stretching the hips, and it's always great to do a lunge. If that feels good, you can do a lunge right now, feeling that front of the hip stretch. A lunge on the other side. And it's okay if it's just a few seconds. You can do deeper stretches, but just to start with, it's nice to do just a little stretch and then come out. Kind of a dynamic stretch. And then bringing the knee down, so bending the knee, getting into the quads. Especially if you do any kind of running or a lot of walking, bringing the knee down to stretch the quads a little bit is really great. These front thigh muscles. We can also give the hips a little massage. So bringing your fist into the side of the hip. So the hip bone, mine is up here, and then there is the thigh bone, which is called the femur. And the thigh bone has like a knob, like a knobby bit of the thigh bone right here, which is called the greater trochanter. But basically, we want to go between the top of the hip there and the knob. Right in there is a lot of muscle that gets a little neglected. And these are the gluteus medius and minimus muscles. And so if you bring your fist into there and just kind of gently at first, but then you can slowly build pressure. Give it a little pressure in and out, and just see if that feels good to you. This is one way to do self-massage. You can do pressure, like you can send the pressure straight in and out, that's fine. You can kind of sink in a little bit and see, I'm going to come closer. Here we go. So if you would like to see on the video, you can see, you can sink in and give it a little circle. That's another way to do it. And just like searching around for spots that might feel good to you. Right, so we're focusing on the side of the hip right here. Then you can come back a little bit into the sort of the 45-degree angle of the hip and the glutes. This is another great spot. Yeah, so you can also give it a little stretch. So pressing in and then down. It's another way to do it. This is a great thing to do lying on the floor or in bed as well. Let's try the other side. So just direct pressure or little circles or pressing in and down. Just feeling that side hip. You know, for me, when I do this, sometimes I hit a spot that feels really tender. So I go a little bit lighter there and spend some time there. Sometimes that could be a trigger point. So feeling the side hip and then that back 45-degree angle. And it's normal to have one hip that is a little bit more tender or tight than the other one. All right, so we just have a few minutes left. So let's do coming up a little bit. So last week, I think it was last week, we did shoulders. This is another great thing. So grab the top of between your shoulder and your neck. So that big chunk of muscle, upper back muscle, they're called the upper traps, trapezius. You can do one at a time or both. And just give them a little squeeze like this sort of like a cat doing cat paws down. Squeeze and release, squeeze and release. This is a really common thing that people tend to do for each other. Yeah. And then, let's see. Okay. So we'll do, so since we were just at the shoulders, we'll start doing a little bit of acupressure. So this next point is called gallbladder 21 or shoulder well, and it is contraindicated for pregnancy. So if you're pregnant or think you might be pregnant, please either avoid this point entirely or just press lightly. The idea is to not do really direct, strong pressure if you're pregnant, but you can press the point lightly. That's fine. So if you imagine there's like a drip of water kind of coming from your ear down to your shoulder, that's one way to find it. And then another way is that it's kind of at the highest point of the upper trap, so this muscle here. And I like to use my opposite side hand. So on my right, I'm using my left hand to just kind of like, first I feel around a little bit to see if there's any points that feel tender. And then using 2 fingers or all 4 fingers to just kind of take a breath in and then sink in as I breathe out. So sinking the pressure straight down towards the floor. And you can just take a couple breaths there. And again, if you're not pregnant, you can use some pretty good pressure here. Often it's a very tight point, very tender, or sometimes tender. Sometimes it's numb, actually, if we've been carrying tension. This used to be the case for me when I did a lot of work on computers. I'm also moving my head around. That feels really nice. Yeah. And if that was particularly tender, just give it a little squeeze. Let's try the other side. So again, it's the highest point of the traps, or if you imagine a drip of water is coming down from your ear. And you can take a breath in and exhale and press down. It's like, imagine that your fingers are sinking down into the mud. When I used to do a lot of work on computers, this area would get numb, and whenever I received a massage, I would ask people to just rail into it because I couldn't feel it. It was so tight for so long that my brain just turned off all the signals to it. And you can try moving your head around a little bit. Okay, give it a little squeeze. And then let's end with some belly breaths. So I'm seated now, but you are welcome to stay standing. Find your hands and bring them to either right in front of your belly button or to your lower belly. Either one is okay. And invite your breath down and into your belly. Imagine that it's going to expand the front of your belly, the sides of your belly, even into your low back. So it's going to expand on the inhale, and then when you exhale, it's just going to relax. It can be really helpful for grounding to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. So you can try that if you like. And just take this moment to sense into your body the different stretches and self-massage things that we've done. And I encourage you to bring a sense of gratitude to your practice, even if it's just half an hour or 20 minutes. A little bit of self-care, taking care of the body can go a long way. And by taking care of ourselves, we can better take care of others and the whole world. All right. So um, that's it for this morning. Thank you very much for joining me. Um, I'll be back next week, next Tuesday at 8:30. Um, Dr. Melissa Miller will be on tomorrow at 9:30. Ithaca Morning Movement. Um, and if you haven't seen yet, we have Ann Stork on Mondays and Melissa on Tuesdays. Sadie Hayes, who's an acupuncturist, on Thursdays, or I'm on Tuesdays. Melissa's on Wednesdays. Sadie Hayes, the acupuncturist, on Thursdays. At 8, Jonathan Hall doing Qigong on Fridays. And Sarah Costanis. I actually forget which day she's on, Saturday or Sunday in the morning. Yeah, thank you, Brooke. Thanks for joining. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the chat box or feel free to reach out to me. Email is great, gabrielghoff@gmail.com. And I hope you have a great day. I'll hang out for another minute just in case there are any comments or questions. Right, c'est fini. À la prochaine fois.